Hello, everyone. All righty. So let's start off with a quick meditation to synchronize our energies, and then we'll get right into it. So sit back, relax. Let's put this guy down here. Take a nice deep breath in. And release. In. And release. So we'll stick with the primal breath where we're breathing in, filling up our stomachs first. Once our stomach is fully filled up, we're going to move the air into our chest and then fill our chest up. So if you want, you can put your right hand on your belly, your left hand on your chest so you can feel it. As you're breathing in, filling up your belly, and then your chest. And as you breathe out, letting it all out together. As your chest and your stomach, exhale all the air. And the goal here is to bring in as much prana, oxygen, air, into your body as much as possible. Really filling up your body with energy. Now open your eyes, come back to the room. And that's a fantastic way to really bring energy into your body, especially when you're kind of feeling tired or you really want to get focused. Fill yourself up with a lot of prana, a lot of oxygen, and your body uses that energy throughout all of your body, throughout all of your senses. So it's really important to bring in as much oxygen and prana as possible. Because today we breathe very shallowly. Funny, right? Shallowly. So we're breathing in. You really want to bring in as much oxygen as you possibly can as you're breathing in throughout your day. And it's a great practice when you're driving to really just focus on bringing in all the air that you can, bringing it in from your belly, filling up your chest, and then breathing it out. So today is a beautiful spring day here. Everything turned green yesterday and all the pollen is out today in full effect. So it's a pretty beautiful day. For those of you who have allergies, could be a little bit challenging day, but it's an amazing day here in New Jersey. So we did receive 10 questions that were emailed in that Jamie's going to read in a minute. And if any of you guys have any questions that you would like to ask, we can get into those in a few minutes. Or any statements or anything you would like to say about the course or the information in general. So let's start with some questions from the emails. Jamie?
Okay. So
Hold
the
on,
first, you can't hear me? Oh,
no.
right. Am I on mute?
I gotcha. Yeah, it was on my end. I had it over here turned off. Yeah, I had to do it out.
All right. So the first question is from Mark. And Mark asks, can you explain more about how we are all fractals?
Yes, so fractal is a self-replicating pattern. So when we look at consciousness, consciousness is a self-replicating pattern throughout all dimensions, because who we are is just pure consciousness, which is pure awareness. We take on these physical forms to have the experiences, to go through the circumstances and conditions that can give us the understanding of vibration and dualistic expression.
Hey Jay, you're coming in very choppy. I don't know if it's just on my end, but
All right, let me.
Yeah, it's pretty good over here, Jane.
okay.
What chord are you using? You using the good chord?
I think that's what it is. I just looked at it.
That'll do it. That chord.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine. So what consciousness is consciousness is everything, right? Everything has a consciousness. Even a rock is consciously aware of its own divine blueprint. For a rock is a form within inside of the matrix. Therefore, it has a blueprint which light condenses down and creates a form that we call a rock. So there is a consciousness that holds the blueprint of those frequencies of light and sound to hold that together. And that is awareness or consciousness. So consciousness is throughout everything that exists. From the point of the I am coming into existence and creating the first point of awareness of the separation from the infinite, it's from that point that consciousness then started to fractalize inside of itself, as I shared, and I believe it was lesson 4. I talked about how the infinite is where all things exist. It's inside of the finite that we're able to experience separation from the infinite. Otherwise, inside of the infinite, we're all that is. So we can't experience separation. So we created a place of a finite expression so that we can condense ourselves down inside of. And as we condense ourselves inside of it, what we're doing is actually fractalizing a piece of ourselves, creating another piece of ourselves, another piece of ourselves, another piece of ourselves. But it's all from the same point of awareness of consciousness. And what we're doing is we're pulling from the infinite the experiences that we want to experience inside of the finite expression. So the fractal in our nature is the fractal of consciousness. And you can see how fractals work through archetypes, through the 12 archetypes, and as you move up in dimensions and how they're breaking down the reality and how we're all using the same exact vibrational frequencies that give us our personalities and our experiences, but in ever so slightly different ways. And that's what we call the constellations and the zodiac signs. But fractals are what I was talking about in lesson 4 was about consciousness and how consciousness is a fractal. Okay, next.
You're frozen. Am I frozen?
Yeah, you're frozen.
Okay. Should I move out?
Yeah, you can do that.
All right. Take me off. Something's going on.
Yeah, just boot off.
It just kicked me off.
So Samantha says, what are your thoughts on the best way to become a vibrational match to a thing or an outcome that you want to experience in our reality? That is a great question. So what we're talking about again here is about the infinite and the finite expression, right? So if you want something to happen in your life, that's a situation or an outcome. If you want a specific thing, be it a car or money or a love interest, whatever that is, everything has a vibrational frequency, and we are a being of infinite possibilities because we have access to the infinite. So we come from the infinite, we condense down and created this reality called the finite expression where we're able to experience one thing at a time. We're not experiencing everything at once. But everything at once still exists. All probable realities already exist because everything exists inside of the infinite. And what we're doing here in the finite is we're becoming a match vibration. So we're talking about vibrations, frequencies, and resonance. We're becoming a match vibration to the frequency of the thing or the outcome that you want to experience. So everything exists in this external bubble, which is called the infinite, and inside we then become the match vibration because our hearts and our minds are magnets, right? So we're becoming a magnet to pull that experience to us. And that's why we can experience whatever we want. We are a limitless being, but we have put limits and conditions on ourselves because we have descended in consciousness and forgot who we are. But it's all about the images and the way that and the words that we speak. This is how we limit ourselves, because what are the images that we're holding in our minds, right? So it's all about the image that we have, because the image is the connection to the infinite, and the words that we speak to draw that to us, right? So we become that vibrational frequency, that resonance. Once it's inside of us, we draw it from the infinite into the finite expression.
And also the feeling.
You're on mute, Jay. I got you. Go ahead.
I can't see you guys anymore. I lost the whole.
That's right. You're up. I can see you.
But that's all right. I was just saying, and also the feelings that you have towards whatever it is. So you can bring your feelings up to match that vibration as well, which will bring it into your experience.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next question.
Okay, Jack asks,
Yeah.
I want to start off by saying I love lesson 3. The part about masters of vibration was so enlightening. My question is, what was the significance of the age of Libra and the weighing of the heart?
That is a very good question. So that ties into the yugas, right? So we had the precession of the equinox, the gestation of the soul. So we're talking about the yugas. We talk about the golden age. We move down into the bronze age, and then we move down, or the silver, bronze, iron, and then we start ascending where we're at now. So we're just coming out of the iron, moving into the bronze, then we go into the silver, and then the gold. So these ages are all held together. They're all being created by the zodiac signs. As the zodiac signs are moving, the constellations are moving in this 26,000-year precession of the equinox, these are creating the ages for the collective consciousness inside of the matrix. So it's interesting. What's happening is we're here, right? We're transcending down, and now we're here. We're in the age of Aquarius. We're just getting into the age of Aquarius. But as we start moving up, we're going to get to the golden age. And then we entered, right, about here at the top, right? We entered, and then we started coming down. And now we're going back up. But it's interesting, when we get right here, we're going to be in the age of Libra. And Libra is the scales, okay? So it's about the weighing, right? And it's going to be weighing your experiences and how you experience your experiences, because that's the most important part of the experience. It's not about the outcome, really. It's about how you handle the experience, what creates the outcome. So when we're in the experience, we were always looking at the outcome, but it's really about how you respond to the experience. So when we move into the last portion of the constellation, the last 2,600 years of the golden age before we leave this matrix, we will be in the age of Libra. And it ties right in with the weighing of the heart of, you have Mot, who weighs the heart at death to see if your heart is pure. So if your heart is pure, you can move on into the afterlife. So in order to, because there is a void that's between this realm and the next realm, that you have to be at a certain frequency to be able to match to get through it. So what's happening is, as we're transcending up and we're coming to this point, we're going to have to be at a match vibration to transcend into this next reality. And that's interesting that we're leaving in the age of Libra, and you have the weighing of the hearts of the Egyptians.
And that's because Libra signifies the scales, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mary Jane asks, how much of a role do you think the moon plays in our psyche?
The moon plays a huge role in our psyche. The moon rules the emotions, right? It's about the emotional body. And if you look at from our point of view, right? When you look at our point of view, the moon and the sun are the same size, right? And then you have the wanderers, which are ancients called up behind that, which are the planets. And then behind the planets, you have the constellations. So there's like a level, right? And we're just talking size here. So if we look at the moon and the sun, they play a major role in our day-to-day experiences because they are the closest to us, right? So the sun, our whole entire day is based on the sun. Our month is based on the moon. And when the sun and the moon are interacting with each other, they create these vibrational frequencies within ourselves that give us these unique experiences, right? So our bodies move to these rhythms of both the moon and the sun. But the moon is connected to our emotions, and our emotions are water, right? So our bodies are made up of, depending on your age, between 100% at a fetus to 50 to 60% at the age of 80 and 90. So the moon pulls on the tides of the oceans, but they also pull on the tides of our emotions in our bodies. And that's why we have lunatics and lunatics, because it's all about the moon. So our psyches play a huge role in the understanding of how these moons connect to us. And I believe it's in the 26th, the 26th on Thursday.
For what?
Next week, you and Hillary are getting together, discussing the new moon.
I think it's the 16th or the 18th, or the what's the date right now?
Today's 24th. No, it's
Yeah,
next week. But
26th.
I believe it's the 6th. So next week, Jamie and Hillary will be doing a live Q&A on Facebook, all about the new moon. And if we can understand how the new moon works, you can start using those energies to really boost your psyche and really pull in those energies and really start bringing the manifestation easier. And then when we move into the full moon, there's a different process that you can use to remove things. So Jamie and Hillary Scott are going to be talking about that coming forward, and we'll update you guys on that, which is really cool information.
Oh yeah, there'll be a lot to discuss on the moon very soon. That kind of rhymed. Okay. Frank asks, in lesson 5, you discussed how the stars are emitting light and sound. We can see the light, but we don't hear the sound. How do you know there is sound?
Yes. You know what? I just posted a video, interestingly enough, about 2 weeks ago on Facebook from NASA, showing the frequencies of the stars. Which let me just pull that up and show you guys, because it's really interesting. Because every single star that's in the sky has a vibrational frequency in light and in sound, and this is really what's holding our construct together. It's through these different vibrational frequencies that are being projected through light and sound. So let me just pull this up real quick and show you guys. It's really cool. Probably should have had this queued up already, huh?
Well, you didn't know.
Yeah. Oh, I had that question before. I thought about it, but. So let's see if you can hear this. So this is on my Facebook page, and this is NASA's basically listening to the sky. You can see.
Is there an image?
Yeah, it's just a picture, and basically it's just, but it's not an actual image of the star that they're looking at through the telescope. But you can Google this, and you can see they have every planet zoned in, and you can hear the sound of that planet, and along with the constellations, because the constellations, each one of those has a specific vibrational frequency of light and sound, and then together they create a symphony. And that symphony is a symphony of information that's being broadcasted into our reality that we are then experiencing. We're picking up, because we are transmitters and receivers, right? We're picking that information up, and then we're expressing that experience from the heavens, because as above, so below, in this reality, in this matrix, in this realm that we're in. So the stars are playing a huge role in holding the vibrational frequencies together. And they're doing it through light and sound. Just like you are made out of light and sound. If you take a microscope and you go deep down into your skin, you're going to see the skin turns into subatomic particles, which are all separated. Nothing is connected like we think it is. There's no matter. There's no solidity to our reality. It's actually vibrational frequencies of light and sound. And the stars are the same exact thing, but they're projecting and holding the vibrations in a certain way to be able to hold us in the experience that we're in. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Get back to where I was.
Okay, the next question comes from Denise. Can you elaborate more on how the 12 archetypes resemble filters that we take on once we come into embodiment?
Yes, so the 12 archetypes are the zodiac. So they play a huge role into how we express our experience. So when we're all looking at, say, we're looking at a house, we all have different opinions of that house. Those opinions are based on our light structure, right? So when we're born, our chakras attune to the vibrational frequencies of light and sound to the stars, called the constellations. And that gives you your personality, your persona, right? So your ascendant sign is how you come across the people when they first meet you. But once they get to meet you, they get to meet your sun sign, which is your underlining of who you truly are, right? But we all carry a mask, and we don't just let our sun sign out right away. We kind of hide it through our ascendant. But the constellations play a huge role in so many different aspects through our psyche and our personality and the way that we experience the world. So it's kind of like putting on a pair of glasses, and these glasses are giving us each an individual perspective of the reality that we're looking at. So these 12 archetypes, these constellations, hold the blueprint of certain energies, and they have certain characteristics. They have positive characteristics and negative characteristics. And there's a multitude of characteristics inside the constellations, and then the same with inside the planets. And it's all according to these angles, right? Angles play a huge role in the vibrational frequency of each other, right? So they change different frequencies from the different angles. That's why you have the things called conjunct, squared, because it's all different angles and they're playing on different frequencies, which then attune to us, giving us all our own unique perspective of the same exact reality. So we're all looking at the same thing, but each one of us has our own unique perspective. And that's why, that's what I was talking about when I was talking about that. And I believe that was that was lesson 4, I believe. We were talking about, or maybe it was lesson 5, about the astrology side of our makeup. Okay.
Okay. Next question comes from Bobby. You start the course by stating everything is energy. My question is, what do I gain by knowing that? I still live in the world of form. Question.
That is a great one, because I get that a lot. Like, what's the meaning of knowing this information? Like, how is it going to change my life, right? I still have to go to work tomorrow. I still have to raise the kids. I still have to do everything. What it is changing your foundational belief about what you're looking at. And when you do that, you're able to experience everything around you easier, in the understanding that what we're looking at is not physical matter, and it's not based on a linear reality. It's actually a cyclical energy that's manifesting. And when you start changing the pictures in your head, and you start changing the words that you're using, your reality is going to change. It's just like when you want to get a car, say you want to get a Dodge Durango, and all of a sudden you think about a Dodge Durango and you see it everywhere. There's Dodge Durangos everywhere, because you become a matched vibrational frequency to that experience. They were always there. You're just becoming a matched vibrational frequency to them. So it's extremely important to start seeing yourself as energy instead of particle. Because when you see yourself as a particle, you are limiting yourself to what we have been conditioned to think of ourselves. But really, we are a being with endless possibilities, and it's all based on the images and the words that we use that create our reality. So it doesn't matter what's happening here right now. If something bad is happening, and you can use high vibrational frequency words to describe what is happening, right? So understanding that everything happens for a reason, or everything is meant to be, that's a great place to start. But if you start going into, oh, this is horrible, all that stuff, you're then forming that experience, that energy into your reality, and you become that experience, because it's all energy. Everything is energy, and you have complete control over the energy that is within you. You have the choice to either put your attention here or put your attention there, because your attention is what's creating your reality. And this is how the news and the propaganda that's out there, it's doing is absorbing your attention, because where attention goes, energy flows. So if they absorb your attention, your energy is going to go there, and that's going to become your experience. Because what you're going to do is you're not going to like to hear the story the first time, and then you're going to turn around and tell somebody else's story, and this tell somebody else's story about how this happened, and yet you didn't like it the first time. Your whole life becomes telling the story of what you don't like, instead of focusing on what you do want and letting go of what you don't want. We get so trapped into this particle paradigm, opposed to seeing everything as energy. And everything being energy becomes malleable. And it becomes malleable because you are the force that makes the energy form into form. You're pulling from the infinite any possibility that you desire. You have to have the image first, and then use the words, and then the feeling from your heart. And really, because when you start speaking the words, right, you're telling your subconscious, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want. You generate that feeling, your heart becomes the magnet, and it pulls it to you, right? So it's important to take hold of your attention, bring it back in, and understand that everything is energy, and that everything is cyclical. It's not a linear process. It's all cyclical. That energy changes every single moment, every single day. Tomorrow's not going to be the same day as today. It will be if you put it in your thoughts as such, but any day you can change and become greater and greater. And every day you have that potential to become greater and greater. It's all a matter how you choose to see it. And it's all based on energy.
Yeah, and that ties into the question by Samantha. What are your thoughts of the best way to become a vibrational match to the thing or outcome? And I think that question that Bobby had asked, what you just answered, that's the reason why it's important for you to know. Even though you still live in the world of form, everything is energy, and knowing that and being aware of that and taking control of that, you start to become the master of your reality.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, next question is from Kathy. How did you attain your knowledge about the stars?
It all came to me in about 2 minutes. I was outside with my wife and my youngest son, and we were just having a conversation, kind of like a campfire, wasn't a campfire, but it's one of those grills that we have wood burning inside of. And I was just staring up at the stars, and you ever heard of the song by Incubus? I think it's Stellar, with the backlit canopy with whole
Wish You Were Here.
Wish You Were Here, yeah. Backlit canopy with a whole bunch in it. When I looked at the stars, I'm like, oh, that's an interesting statement. And then I asked, what are you and what are you for? And it was like, boom, I just received this massive download of information that started connecting all these dots that I've received from information from previous. I kind of tied it all together. And that's how I came across my information on the stars. I mean, it was an instant download that happened very quickly. And then I was just like, an aha moment. I'm like, oh, so that's how it works. And then I had to go out there and really prove it to myself. So I had to start researching it and figuring out. And then I started looking into our ancient cultures and the ancient technologies that they used back in the day, right? Like, so when you look at the temples, those are stargates, right? They're all in alignment. Those megalithic sites are all stargates that are tapping into the vibrational frequencies of the stars. And then they were anchoring that energy into the earth by those megalithic sites, because those megalithic sites are made out of silicon, right? Just like our computer chips, just like our cell phones use a silicon chip, those structures are made out of silicon. They're big crystal generator devices that they are programming the stars' information into, and then they were using that information. So after I had received that download, I had to go back into our ancient texts and kind of dig it out and really prove my theory. And then I put it into the course.
Okay. And I believe this is our last question.
Okay.
Ken asks or says, I listened to week 1 Q&A and I really resonated with what you said about how we all have blocks. I know I have many because I try to get into the routines such as yoga, meditating, going to the gym, eating healthy, and somehow I always fall off. Can you point me in the right direction where I can have someone help me access my unconscious mind?
Yeah, so as I was talking in week 1, the best way to access your subconscious mind is through meditation, right? Because when you meditate, you're actually shutting down your conscious mind, which our conscious mind is between 5 to 13% of our experience, but our subconscious mind runs the show. So it's imperative that we access our subconscious mind to program and reprogram ourselves. Because remember, we are already programmed. We are conditioned to the circumstances of our past experiences, right? So those seep into our subconscious, and we're not even consciously aware of a lot of the programs that are running in the background. And a lot of those programs we attained between the ages of 1 to 7. And yet here we are 30, 40 years later, and they're still running as if we were 7. So a lot of the programs that we have running in the background of our mind, we don't actually need anymore. So it's really important to really go in there and change those associations, because that's all it is. It's a picture that you have in your mind, a sound, a vibrational frequency that you have in your subconscious mind that is holding you back from attaining and achieving, doing what you want to do. There's something there that's holding you back, and that most likely came from one of your past experiences when you were very, very young. That's when most of our conditioning is really seated into our subconscious. And then as we go along through our teenage years, we do pick up stuff. But really, it's between the ages of 1 to 7 is when we really seed in those blocks that we have today. And the best way to do it personally by yourself is through meditation and self-hypnosis. You can go online and find self-hypnosis tapes. But I'm actually developing a program right now where I'm going to be doing hypnotherapy and spiritual coaching over the internet. So I'll be doing private sessions over the internet. And I will definitely get you a link. I'm working on the site now. So once it's up and running, I will definitely send you the link, and I would love to work with you and help you remove those blockages. Because each one of us has an amazing potential. And once we get rid of those blocks, it's kind of like we just open up. So you remove the blocks and you implant what it is that you desire, because when you implant what you desire, you become the match vibration to that thing you desire. Because remember, everything already exists. It's in the infinite. There's nothing that you can think that does not already exist. Once you grab onto that thought and you bring it into your feeling and you start talking about it externally, you bring that into your reality. So it's about removing the blocks and then inputting what you do want, becoming that match vibration, that resonance to that experience, and then it becomes your reality. So once I'm done with the full launch, I will definitely contact you and let you know. And if anybody else out there is interested, just let me know, send me an email, and I'll keep you updated. So that's one way of doing it, or a few ways of doing it. All right, so that is it with the questions, right, from online.
Mm-hmm.
So we can open it up. So we have looks like Brittany has. Oh, Brittany says,
yeah, I know.
Only when Jamin speaks. Yeah. Thanks, Britt. So if anybody else online here has anything they would like to add about the course or any questions, please do so. Would love to hear your thoughts or anything.
Or answer any questions.
Questions. It's funny, I hear crickets.
Mm-hmm. I hear frogs.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it's very interesting about the whole how you get those blockages at such a young age. You know, Jay has been hypnotizing me lately because I have this biting my nail or my fingers habit, and I break the skin up and so on and so forth, and went back and regressed me. And it was a couple of experiences in my childhood that we learned, started that habit. And I stopped for about a week or so, and then I had to pick up my mom from the hospital to take her to, or I'd pick her up and take her to a doctor's appointment. It was at the hospital. And not even like, there was no anxiety, no stress, no anything, but just a few minutes of being around that old energy, I was already biting my nails again, or my fingers again. And I came home, I'm like, it's being associated with that energy. So we had to go in and do a little bit more work, but it's amazing how we hold on to all of that, and it builds us up to who we are today, and things that we believe and hold us back from things that we want to achieve. So hypnosis is amazing, and it's definitely helpful.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
You remove blocks, Jay. Are they removed for good, so to speak, or it's just something you have to constantly go over until it's removed, these blocks?
It depends on how deep it is. So, I mean, sometimes it can work, in doing it once. And then sometimes, like with Jamie's case, we did it. She was good for a week, and then she got around her mother's energy, and then she started biting her finger again, but she noticed it right away, right? So she noticed what she was doing. She was like, oh, wait a second, what's happening here? So she was able to create the association, the connection to it. But when that happens, you have to go back in then and then create a different association in the mind. Because remember, what we are is just imaginers. We imagine. From the time we're born, right, from our very young child, all we do is we imagine and pretend, right? Our lives are really imagined and pretend, but it's all imagined and pretend inside of our own reality, right? So that's the beauty of it. We can change what we're imagining and pretending about, right? Pretend. If you look at pretend, to break it apart, you are pre-intending. Yeah, you're pretending. You're intending that to experience. So it's so important to really take hold of the imagination, the attention, the awareness, and really focus it in on what it is that we want and what we desire. And you can listen to, anyone like Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, Anthony Robbins. What are they talking about? It's all about the mind. What are you thinking? How are you thinking? So it's been known for a very long time. But what's happening now is we're coming out of the Iron Age, right? Where there's been a huge mind manipulation. And it's happening today still on a different level, and they're using technology to really control the awareness of individuals, because people become so attached to the television, they're attached to their phones, attached to information. But the information, it's kind of like it's passing information, so it's not going to change anything in your life. It's kind of, I'm not going to say useless, but useless information, right? You can go on YouTube and sit there and scroll, and then look down and half hours pass and you haven't done anything. Your attention was absorbed for a half hour. So imagine if you were to take your intention and your attention for that half hour and really intend what you want to experience. It's going to make a huge, massive change in your reality. Massive change.
Yeah, and I would just also like to add to that question, does it take multiple times? Just like anything, usually it takes a few times for something to be anchored in, unless it's a traumatic experience and it's anchored with that feeling and memory. But like any habit takes smoking a cigarette, you don't get addicted the first time you smoke. You have to smoke for a few weeks before you become addicted. So yes, multiple times. So doing like a self-hypnosis or a meditation where things are being reprogrammed is useful to do every single day for a good month or so, and then it becomes a habit. You're retraining your brain with a new habit.
Yeah, I think
that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're doing it by yourself. They say by yourself, it takes 21 to 28 days to create any habit, right? You got to do something consistently for 21 to 28 days. And what that means is that you're no longer consciously thinking about it, right? You can do something without consciously thinking, meaning you can put your mind somewhere else, right? So if you were to consciously think about listening to what I'm saying right now and writing a letter to somebody, you're going to find that it's extremely hard to write a letter and concentrate on what I'm saying, because your conscious mind is absorbed in one thing at a time. But after you create a habit, you're able to listen while you're writing after practicing, right? After you practice listening and writing for 21 to 28 days, you become better at it because your subconscious mind takes over the process. So our subconscious mind can run everything in our bodies. It can run our liver, it can run our heart, and our liver has what, 400 functions? It can run our heart, it can run our breathing without us thinking about any of it. And that gives us the ability to consciously experience the reality. So once we create these habits inside of our subconscious mind, then they're seated in there, and we don't have to think about it anymore. So it's all depends on how deep it is. But working with somebody is much faster, because when you get into your subconscious mind, it's like the dream world. And in the dream world, it's a nebulous, right? So you're kind of like in and out, in and out. Whereas when you're working with somebody, they're still conscious and they know exactly what you want. So they're bringing your subconscious exactly to the point where you want to go, diving you down and down and down, and seeding that seed into the subconscious deep. And then once it grows, it's a wrap. And that's why people can get healed from hypnosis. People can stop their habits from hypnosis. People can get motivated from hypnosis. I mean, there's so much that it can do. I mean, it's really what it is. It's just accessing your subconscious mind, which really is your higher self. And once you have the blueprint of the experience that you want, the vibration, the resonance, you're able to pull it to you. You're ready for that experience. And that's why they also say, if you want something, see it as if it's already done. Because if you see it as it being already done, you're going to experience it. So I think it was in the first week I was talking to Sue, and we were talking about money. If you want money, see yourself as already having that money, right? Pre-intention, and imagine what it would be like to have that money. Close your eyes and go through the experience of already having it, going to the store, buying whatever you want, not thinking about the, oh, do I have enough, or am I taking away from this? No, go into the store in your mind and just buy whatever you want and have that experience, that full-on emotional expression inside of yourself, because what you're doing is you're becoming a vibrational match to that experience. So the more you can experience that imagination, that's our key to becoming what it is that we want in this reality.
I actually did this a few times, but one big time was when I wrote myself a letter as if I already received this amount of money. Do you remember that, Jay? And yeah. I waited for 3 days to read it out loud. But in the letter, I wrote it as if it already happened, and wrote it with lots of feeling and intentional words of excitement. And I think about 5 minutes on the third day after I read it, the money was not only in the mail, right? We received a check, but then it was also in another place a little bit more money. So it added up to the exact amount that I was trying to manifest, which was very, very cool. So definitely seeing it as, but going back to the, changing the blockages, I think it's also important too, going back to that second question and that last question by Bobby, everything is energy. Everything is energy, and not that that these things are bad, they just have been placed there. So knowing that everything is energy, it could be transmuted into something else that is more positive and has a better impact on you, because that's also energy too.
Yeah, most definitely. So, I mean, at the end of the course, I ended it with your only responsibility is to be responsible with how you respond, right? That's it. That's the key in a nutshell. And how you respond physically is going to be how you're responding already internally, right, to your thoughts and your emotions. So once we take back our thoughts and our emotions, we then express into our reality a completely different reality from what we did back in the day, because those are conditioned behaviors that we picked up from our parents, from our friends, from our family, and those are all conditioned responses. So if we change those conditioned responses, our whole entire world, our whole reality changes. And it was that one statement, right? If you wish to change the world, you must first change yourself. And once you change yourself, the whole world changes, because you are no longer a matched vibration to that old paradigm, that old structure. Everything changes around you. You are the source of your experience. And that's why it's so important to respond and not react, because when you react, you're reacting out of old programs, right? You're just boom, there's no thought, right? Just reacting. But when you respond, you're conscious in the moment, right? You're centered. And when you're centered and you're conscious, you can respond consciously. And when you do that, you're taking control of your emotions and you're taking control of your thoughts, and you're changing the pictures, which is changing the reality around you. And that's why it's so important to respond and not react.
We really contain a lot of power as human beings. We just don't even realize how much.
I know.
And then when you start learning this and start putting it into action, I think that's why it's so important to know this information. You know, you really mold and transform your whole world around you. I mean, you're doing that anyway, but it's more of just knowing that you're doing it and knowing what you want.
Yeah, most definitely. Most
Okay,
definitely.
I have 3 questions.
3 questions. All right.
3 questions. I know that we all come here to experience what we've come into embodiment this time around to experience. So that being said, what you're touching on what you and Jamie were just speaking about. So we came here to experience. Is this part of our experience to, you know, we're programmed in a certain way because of, like you said, our family and what have you. But now it's letting go and reprogramming ourselves as individuals. So my question is, being that we came here to experience and have our lessons here to learn, this is our biggest lesson, or this is just a lesson? Because I'm sure there's multiple lessons.
I would say right now, at this point in time, it's our biggest lesson. Because in order to move to the next phase, you have to be able to control yourself. Okay. Emotionally, mentally, and physically. I mean, this has to be done. So if it's I don't think it's the biggest thing overall, but I think in this time frame that we're at now, where we're all together, I think it's the most important thing to be working on. It's all about you and you taking back your own sovereignty. Nothing externally is going to give us sovereignty. We think, you know, well, if this government collapses, then we'll be free. Or if the money structure goes away, we'll be free. Or all this stuff is external baloney. The only way you're going to be free is when you decide to put down the phone, put down the distractions, and start making your distractions yourself. Right? You become distracted in what you desire instead of distracted in all this other stuff that's meaningless, right? You take attention and you put it into what you want. Focus intently and committedly to what it is that you want and go full-fledged into it. And it's not saying that we can't dive into the other stuff, but we have to be able to respond and not react to the other stuff without tying in our emotional experience and our mental experience, where we can go in, dip our toes, and get out, as opposed to spending most of our time in the media world.
Yeah,
so I think it's very important to take back our own sovereignty.
Right.
I agree, and also, yeah, this is like, it has to be the most important lesson right now, like Jason was saying, because it's the waking up process. So, I mean, we could stay asleep for as long as we like, that's our free will, but once we come out of the sleep and wake up, then it's up to you. And if you're not doing anything with that, then what are you doing?
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
Well, my next 2 questions are, you were mentioning about you're going to have where you're going to work with individuals with blocks, like past life regression, what have you. Are you going to charge for this? And that's one question. And are you going to have where maybe there's something that would be like a meditation that would go with the individual, that they can work with themselves on what you're helping them with?
Yeah, there will be a charge associated with each session, and I'll have it broken down into multiple sessions. If somebody needs multiple sessions, discounted rate. And then every one of the sessions will be recorded, and then the individual will have that recording that they can work with throughout the week. So if we have our session on Sunday, they can use that recording every single day. So what I would do is I would take their answer out and change a couple of little things so it could be a meditation directed right for them so they can really achieve their goal. Because it's all about repetition, right?
Right.
The subconscious mind learns through repetition, doing it over and over and over again. So once we have our session, you listen to it multiple times, it seeps into your subconscious really quickly, and then you get the outcome that you want. But yeah, there will be associated charges to which I'm working out now, and then I'm going to have different tiers, and each one of the sessions will have a tape that will go along with it to help whatever it is that the person's looking to achieve.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. All right, so I guess anybody else have any more questions? And then pretty quiet. All right, cool. So that's it, guys. We will end it here and have an amazing night, an amazing 2 weeks, and we'll be back here in 2 weeks. So enjoy. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And ciao.
Thank you for having the time. Making the time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.